This video on crime and deviance is the first of two videos dealing with ethnicity and crime and deviance. First off, 5 questions on the previous lesson on gender. Read the questions, you know what to do. So, ethnicity and crime 1. The key word, disproportionate, something's out of proportion. Assumptions, moral panic, hegemony, leadership. So, let's remind ourselves of what ethnicity is. It's not skin colour, it's the culture of where you are from. If you're Afro-Caribbean or West African, you're genetically pretty much the same, but you are ethnically different. Different languages, for example, ethnicity. The stats. If you are an ethnic minority in the UK, you are 3 times more likely to be a victim of crime, and you are 3 times more likely to be in prison for a crime. So ethnic minorities suffer from crime in a disproportionate way. Yeah, it's disproportionate. Look at this picture here. So at a prison, more than half the inmates are Afro-Caribbean, and a small percentage of our population. Now, we've done it before. If you're in a youth offending prison, which is what this is, 3% of the population is Afro-Caribbean in this country. 25% of the people, young people in prison are Afro-Caribbean. That's way disproportionate. So why is this? Well, Paul Gilroy, in his book, he says, well, it's all a self-fulfilling prophecy. The police are way more likely to stop and search and investigate black people, therefore they're much more likely to find the crime, therefore they're much more likely to send them to prison. Yeah, to Paul Gilroy, the problem is the police in particular, society generally, have negative stereotypes of Afro-Caribbean people, particularly Afro-Caribbean males, particularly Afro-Caribbean young males. That is causing a self-fulfilling prophecy. He then goes on to say, well, so his first point is that black people are not committing a disproportionate amount of crime. But he then says, well, if they are committing crime, that's actually a form of resistance to the racism they're suffering. The problem with that is that doesn't make all that much sense, some people say. Hold on, it can't be both ways. Black people can not be the victims of a self-fulfilling prophecy, but also commit more crime because of resistance. There's got to be one or the other. But you've got to see you do see what Gilroy's getting at here. Another theorist who's worked on this is Professor Stuart Hall, and he did some work called Policing the Crisis about muggings. Now, Stuart Hall's a Marxist, and he uses the idea of moral panics and combines that with his Marxist ideas. So look, black people, mugging was created as a crime to pin on young black men. It's not new. Street robbery is not new in the UK, but mugging was a code word created for young black men committing street robbery. Now, and then created a moral panic around it. Yeah? A very similar way to have knife crime today. And what's going on here to Stuart Hall? Well, this is a way for the bourgeoisie to distract the rest of us from our true problems, the poverty in our life caused by capitalism. We distract people by demonizing a group. Young black men, they're the cause of all trouble. They're the ones you should be afraid of. So Stuart Hall's work is about the media, about moral panics, and about using the moral panic, the bourgeoisie using the moral panic to maintain their hegemony. And you can also look today at the Metropolitan Police's gang matrix. The Metropolitan Police are the police in London, and they have a gang matrix. Everybody they think in London is involved in a gang. Red, amber and green. Now, most of the people on the gang matrix are black. And so they will say, well, that's a problem. Yeah? How can you just looking at those people? Particularly when you consider that of the thousands of people on the gang matrix, only a fraction of them are what they call red, which means definitely in a gang. The rest are ambers and greens, and the greens can be acquaintances. The greens can be sharing the same barber as somebody on the red. So the greens can be a cousin of somebody on the red. And the gang matrix, if you're on the gang matrix, the police will share that data with other um, official authorities within London, so housing, education. And that can cause big problems for people on the gang matrix. If you're green on the gang matrix, you go to the same barbers as a gang member, and you've been seen talking to them, that might stop your mum getting a council flat. Yeah? So it can have a real big impact on people's lives.